Breaking news out of Florida. The deputy sheriff who shot and killed Airman Roger Fortson has been fired. He has been fired by the sheriff's department for using unreasonable deadly force. The sheriff's office had made this decision, made this announcement today, just moments ago. He's Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aden fired Deputy Eddie Duran, who shot Fortson on May 3rd after responding to a domestic violence call. This is the body cam footage here when he showed up on the scene. The sheriff here, of course, Fortson opened the door. Only then the deputy yelled, "Drop the gun." The sheriff's office said in the statement, Mr. Fortson did not make any hostile, go to my iPad, this is from Associated Press. Mr. Fortson did not make any hostile attacking movements, and therefore the former deputy's use of deadly force was not objectively reasonable. This tragic incident should have never occurred. The objective facts do not support the use of deadly force as an appropriate response to Mr. Fortson's actions. Mr. Fortson did not commit any crime by all accounts. He was an exceptional airman and individual. Quickly go to my panel, Jolanda Jones. First of all, now it's time for the DA to get involved here. This officer should be indicted.
He should be indicted, but the sheriff's department is trying to cover their butt, right? That's what they're trying to do. But also, I mean, you shoot a person who's in the military. Bad optics, bad optics. So right now, I think that and there's also been a lot of pressure about it. So this has a lot to do with what it looks like. It remains to be seen what kind of settlements they're going to offer or anything. But we've got to wait until the trial. And I just think that as more and more of these things happen, the only people that are getting shot for the most part are us. Doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter if we're military heroes. Right. It doesn't matter any of that. And so it's going to get worse and worse and worse. But it's unacceptable. The sheriff's department is trying to cover its own ass. And I'm just waiting. And I'm thankful that he has the lawyers or his family has the lawyers that he have, because it's just wrong on all levels. And I'm still trying to figure out, when are police officers going to value black life? Why are they always shooting us when we're not doing anything? When white folks can kill people, shoot up churches, and they manage to bring them in and feed them no matter what. So it's a problem to me. And the sheriff's department, as I say it again, for the third time, is covering their butt. But let's see how this all shakes out.
Henry, go back to my iPad. This is the Associated Press story. According to a sheriff's report, after the shooting, when other deputies arrived to render aid, Duran walked to the breezeway outside the unit and struck a wall with his right fist, saying, "Fuck." An investigator later asked him why he did that, and he said he thought that he was about to get shot. It was just kind of letting out whatever, built up emotion and frustration. He said, according to the internal report, it was just one of these things where, as I'm standing there thinking I'm about to get shot, I'm about to die, he said. Once said and done, it was all the emotion going, oh my God, like just let it out, he said. Niambi?
I mean, this is the kind of thing that often happens with police officers. All they have to usually say is they were afraid, they were scared, and then it's all good. And in this case, it's a shame that you kind of have to have a perfect victim for anybody to be willing to hold police officers accountable. I mean, this young man is in the military, done nothing wrong, and we have to consistently say what these people's resumes were to give them any kind of humanity, because if not, we'll believe that the police had a right to take their life for no other reason than being scared. Being scared doesn't allow any of us to shoot anyone, to kill anyone. And yet the police do this with impunity all of the time. And if you are that emotional and you are that unable to handle yourself in a position like that, then you don't need to be a police officer. You certainly don't need to have your hand on the gun and basically unlimited opportunities to harm anyone you please because you're scared.
Michael, check this out. According to the AP story from 2003 to 2014, Duran served in the U.S. Army. He served in Iraq. He also worked in military intelligence, moved into military law enforcement, received an honorable discharge, served in law enforcement career in Oklahoma, worked as a police officer and a K-9 officer from 2015 to 2019, fire marshal in Oklahoma, joined the sheriff's office in 2019, resigned 2 years later, rejoined the sheriff's office 11 months ago. Sorry, no excuse. He had all you always hear training. He had all the training in the world. No, he was trigger happy. He should have never, ever had a gun.
Yeah, there's a number of things wrong here. And, Benjamin Crump has walked us through the case and on various platforms. So, yes, he should have never had a gun. Also, it appears that the officers went to the wrong apartment in the first place. But then the other thing is Fortson is a lawful gun owner. He's holding the gun in his hand, but is pointing down at the ground. So there is also going to have to be, and I don't know how this is incorporated into their training now. And even though we don't have nationwide standards for police training, they'll also have to be incorporated. What happens when you come to somebody's home and you have to think this could be a lawful gun owner at the same time? OK, how do you engage? How do you proceed? So this person, I think the department is trying to cover their behinds, and the DA needs to get involved, and it looks like he needs to be prosecuted also. Hopefully justice will prevail here once again.
And again, folks, the breaking news, the deputy sheriff in Okaloosa County who shot and killed Airman Roger Fortson, he has been fired by the sheriff there, saying that he used unreasonable force in that particular shooting. Again, the quote, this tragic incident shouldn't have never occurred.
Somebody's killing poor people, and it's going on.
When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day. Before COVID, if you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about this political genocide, but we are determined today to remember their death and be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before.
Economic justice and saving this democracy are deeply connected. We, as a nation, must listen to the demands of the poor, who are pushing and will continue to push political candidates and elected leaders to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise.
Take back the money! Take back the money! Take back the money! Take back the money!
We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live.
Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy.
There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation.
The biggest block of potential voters by far is low-income, low-wage voters.
I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost.
The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights.
Those folk that represented by that casket, poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health.
I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor. Having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes.
You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty.
Leadership of both parties have waged war on poor people and low-wage workers.
And this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect.
So the truth is that my son died from poverty.
We refuse to accept poverty as the fourth leading cause of death.
The fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world.
We march today for our children and the generations to come.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
We will voice our demands and register our vote.
When we stand up and when we stand together, things change.
There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be.
34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. So we're launching the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders.
People are dying, but we know it doesn't have to be this way. And so we are calling on everyone to join us in this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival.
We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? 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 We are a resurrection, and we are ready.